guess that's a bit redundant. Wonderlandscape. And as I said before, I feel like the outfit kind of matches. I know most of the time I go for a little bit more of a bohemian vibe, but that's why I say I'm not a hippie, I am an artist, because I look like a different version of myself every day, and this happens to be like the ballerina wannabe nutcracker version. So yes. Alright, let's get started. I am gonna go ahead and just wet the canvas. I don't feel cold, no, because I'm inside. Actually, when I'm recording and streaming, I don't like to wear heavy sweaters. That's for outdoors. So I'm just gonna add a layer of water. I might need to move my table a bit closer. I'm glad I am closely monitoring the sound, because the brush strokes actually can be kind of loud. I'm whispering because this is an ASMR video. Just wetting down the canvas, getting it nice and wet. Hello. I hope you like my top. And I have to be very careful with it, because if it moves out of place, it's a bad thing. Alright, light blue at the very top of my canvas, painting it side to side. I actually might paint the entire. Let's paint the bottom portion blue as well, only we'll do a darker blue. It's good to start out with a wash. I'm going to see a comedian tonight whom I forgot the name of, which I feel bad about, but I guess she's the one of the girls in Dirty Santa 2. She's the girl that the dwarf gets with. And anyways, I'm seeing her live tonight. I'm looking forward to it. Should be a good time. even though it's a white canvas, I'm still adding white. And basically, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm basically blotting out some of these large areas with a wash. Like, this is where some distant trees will go, but for now it's just dark green. That way I can kind of figure out how everything is spaced. ASMR has wonderful benefits to it, like relaxation and tingles, and just it releases oxytocin, which is a feel-good hormone. And so if you're wondering what I'm doing here, I'm combining ASMR with painting, similarly to Bob Ross, even though he's the legend, not me. So don't hold me to that standard, please, because I will inevitably fail you. Okay, so we've got some interesting things happening here. I'm taking now this smaller brush and I'm gonna outline my mountain with, I probably should have put brown on my paint palette, but I'm just gonna use gold mixed with red for now, and essentially just figuring out where I want my mountain to go. I was actually in the mountains the other day for my birthday. My birthday was December 14th. Happy late birthday to me. And so it's kind of interesting now that I am back at sea level to think about the fact that I'm actually painting mountains now. I've realized a lot of people have December birthdays, including me and Jesus. My boyfriend actually got me this shock thing for around my Yeti, so when I bump into my Yeti, it won't make a noise, and I'm just so glad. That was one of my birthday presents. I'm super lucky indeed to have a supportive partner. When I first started ASMR a long time ago, I remember a lot of girls on YouTube would talk about how they had to keep it a secret from everybody, their work, everyone. There are still some people who keep it a secret, but I've never ever been one of those people. And to this day, obviously, there are people who have no idea what ASMR is. And, you know, I'm okay with that. There are some people who still don't know what electricity is. Actually, I don't know that for a fact. Don't listen to me. I say things all the time that I don't necessarily know what I'm talking about, so maybe you can relate. I just go off of my intuition most of the time. Adding some dimension to my mountains, little by little. Yeah, I would assume that people who don't know about electricity are on in the remote places in the world, or they're just children. Because maybe children don't know about electricity. My point is, regardless, ASMR is important and it's useful, even if some people are like, what? But as you can see, the mountains have dimension kind of coming from them. I think the point here is to establish the essence of the entire image and then develop it further as I go. I'm actually going to add some brown. It's weird how sometimes things line up, and yeah, certain things will be on your mind and then they will come up again in another way later, like the mountains. Anyway, I'm shading my mountain. Being careful to not flatten it out as I articulate and add more detail. I'm not sure if that's really what I wanted. It's most certainly not what I wanted, but it still looks good, so I'm just gonna leave it for now. I hope you're having as good of a day so far as I am. Adding the snow on my mountain in a few places just to establish the fact that there is in fact snow. Oh, that rhymes. Or maybe I said fact twice. I'm not sure what just happened. I lost track of what I was saying. this mountain looks cold. That's the point. It's a cold mountain top. And I'm likely gonna add more contrast to it later, but it actually looks pretty darn good so far, if I do say so myself. There are no mistakes, only happy accidents. I love that. Okay. I'm crossing my fingers I don't get any paint on my foot, because that would just break my little heart. I got this skirt at a secondhand store, but it's a perfect tutu. Perfect wearable tutu. So, I'm just trying to be careful. Do you live in the mountains? I obviously do not, and after spending some time in the mountains this weekend, I realized that in terms of just full-time living, I'm more of an ocean person, but mountains are nice for a vacation. And thankfully where I live, I get a little bit of both. Okay, so I'm adding some fog. And I'm trying to be relatively conservative with my white paint because I'm legitimately almost out. I'm literally almost out. When you're painting a landscape, it's good to go side to side with your brush strokes for the most part, because you know the world is horizontal and round, not flat. If it was flat, you'd be able to see the end of it, right? Anyways. Okay, I think my next step is to add the distant trees. Let me determine which brush I shall use. I think I'm going to use this angled brush. It's okay if you believe the world is flat. I will not judge you. I have some pretty weird beliefs myself. Like, let's see here. What's a weird belief that I have? Honestly, now that I'm trying to think of one, I can't, but I know that I do. So, yeah. guess the jury is still out if the earth is flat or not. That's okay. I'm open to change my mind, but I'm pretty sure that I've seen like actual images of the round earth. Like, but I'll have to ask my new friend in Discord who takes telescope images. But I'm assuming you can't really take a telescope image of the earth from the earth. That's just my best guess. That would be really hard. It's interesting. There are different ways to go about painting. One way is to paint every individual tree. Another way is to just kind of get to a mark all throughout the painting that kind of reminds you of trees. Right. You can see other planets from the Earth, which indicate our roundness, in my opinion, unless we're literally the only flat planet. But the round theory makes more sense to me, the gravity theory. Okay, so I feel like this is a pretty decent start. Actually, adding a little bit of darkness in the center, I think it's a good idea just to give it a bit more depth. See, already that feels more realistic. I think the rule of thumb is to go light to dark, but that doesn't mean that you can't go the other way or back and forth. But for me, it's easier to go darker. Like, think it's harder to put light over something dark without the dark showing through. So yeah, just kind of keep that in mind when you're painting. Anyways, I'll have to let you guys know if the comedian is funny tonight. Alright. Nice. I'm happy with this thus far. Rinsing my paintbrush in the water. Alrighty, and now, actually, I probably shouldn't have even done that because I'm going to use more of that color. Alright, in the center of the painting, there's going to be this frozen over looking lake, and I'm using larger brush strokes in general just to make it feel closer to the viewer. And this is one plane right here. is like the rolling land. I am actually mixing a little bit of like browns and stuff to muddy it up a little bit in here, make it look a bit more realistic. And perfect. Alright, that gives me a sense of space at least. Let's do some shading over here. I'm gonna add white in between all of this just to kind of connect it, and then trees up in here. So yeah, it's crazy. This painting is actually kind of progressing relatively quickly. It's all about simplifying. The simplification is where I guess where the art lies. Alright, now I'm gonna use my larger paintbrush for this because I want to cover more surface area of the canvas. Capturing weather is always a challenge. So if you feel cold while looking at this, then thank you. I will take that as a compliment. So I'm connecting some of the dots with the white. It's kind of what I'm up to at the moment. That looks really cool. Do you like to sleep in a cold room or a hot room? Because I like the fan totally blasted, and yeah, I like to be cold, and of course I want to be like in a warmer house or whatever, but like with cool air blowing on me. That's the best way to get a good night's sleep, in my opinion. I don't understand people who don't like to sleep in the cold. I mean, I feel like that there's something probably legitimately wrong with them. I'm just kidding. But, yeah. This painting because of the amount of water that I've used, but I think it adds to the charm. Hi, Gentle Fox. Welcome in. Hope you're having a good day. I literally never wear my hair in a ponytail, so today is the first time in a very, very long time. Not to be all random, but hopefully you can appreciate it. Okay. The next thing I'm gonna do is focus on the trees. That I know that you're like, what trees? Well, they're not on the canvas yet, so I'm gonna use my angled brush. And I honestly have considered offering courses for painting and art, and that's something I'm gonna personally look into in the new year. But as of now, I don't offer anything in terms of breaking it down further, mixing brown and green, and doing kind of a dabbing, wilted dabbing motion. Kind of hard to explain. This is very inspired by Bob Ross. I heard that you can get Bob Ross certified. One of my viewers told me that. I think that's an interesting idea. Like, if I was actually Bob Ross certified, I mean, that might make it more legit, I suppose. It couldn't help, or it couldn't hurt. It couldn't help, that's funny. It couldn't hurt. Although it wouldn't necessarily mean that all of my paintings are Bob Ross paintings, but at least my, I don't know what you would call it. At least my ASMR painting videos could be more true to his technique, because I use a lot of his technique, but not all of it, because I just kind of do my own thing. Just tapping the canvas to create the tree. Right now the tree is a little bit one-dimensional. That's okay though. I'm gonna add a little bit of shading and then some snow on the tree, which will really help it kind of come to life. Or so that's the goal. If you have information on a way for me to access a Bob Ross certification near me, let me know. I think that could be interesting to Discord is usually a good place to drop like links and further information so I don't forget. I think something really cool about Bob Ross's style is the fact that he was able to paint so quickly and it's not conducive for some types of artwork, but for video artwork it's a good thing. I would love to see some of your artwork if you want to share. By the way, oh my goodness. Okay, my shirt. Okay, I got a little bit of paint on me. That's okay, I'll just wipe it off. Wearing white is not a good idea for painting. I like that sound. Alright, I'm gonna move that over here out of the way. And we're going to use this one now. I better not get paint on my tutu or I'm going to be pissed. Alright. Let's go back to... There's a few more trees in this landscape that I would like to add that are nice and appropriately placed to the side of the mountains. So far, so good. I don't necessarily have to add the same amount of trees up front that are included in the reference image I'm using. In fact, I think I'm just gonna go with the few trees on this side that I already have. It just looks nice to me that way. And that looks pretty good. That's a good start. Again, I will add more definition to the trees in a minute. I just need to let them dry. So yeah. Alright, let's add a tree over here. And I think if I just add 1 or 2 trees over here, that'll be good. Essentially what I'm doing is just kind of plopping down the shapes then I'll go in and layer up on the detail. Your painting doesn't have to be perfect for it to be awesome, so remember that. I think it's hard for people to continue working on their painting once they realize that it's not perfect. But I encourage you to keep working on it until you're at least somewhat satisfied with it, because every time you do a painting, you get better at it. And it brings so much joy to life. It really does. I can't imagine my life without art, to be honest. It's almost like art is a person for me. I appreciate all positive and constructive feedback. Alright, I'm gonna add just a little bit of blue in my trees in a few places. In here might be nice, just a little blue, just a little blue. Adding colors that don't really belong can sometimes really elevate the painting, make it look more interesting. You haven't seen a blue tree before? Wow, that's so shocking to me. That looks nice. Adding a little bit more white here and there just to make it feel more snowy and textured on the mountain. Building up the paint is so necessary in terms of just getting the dimensionality you are looking for. Alright, let's add some white up here. I might need to let it dry a little bit more because it's very wet with water. Yeah, I feel like, that does look good, but I do think it might need to dry before I go in with more white in there. freaking awesome idea, because these are the paintings that I've been doing are not necessarily Bob Ross paintings. They are just landscape Bob Ross inspired. So I don't know, it might be interesting to like actually find specific videos, study them, and recreate them. What would you think of that? Well, technically, art is public domain. I mean, I can paint whatever I want to paint. I'm not, so many people replicate Bob Ross, and it's a master's copy, so that's basically how I would market it, like a Bob Ross master copy of this particular video. Alright, now I'm gonna add snow on the trees. So pretty. So pretty. I love that. Already the snow on the trees adds an amazing effect. Exactly what I was going for. Snow on the grass as well. Textured, of course. I think it could be a cool idea to, just really hone in on it. Ooh, snow on the tree, just kind of plopping it in there. And I'm honestly adding a lot more dimension in the painting than what's in my reference image. I may have kind of lost a little bit of the shape of the tree in here. I think I got it back though just now. Just a few little brush strokes. That's all it really takes to make it happen. I think that up here, it's still not quite dry enough. Dang it. In order for me to add like my final touches, it needs to dry a little bit. I'll just kind of focus on the mountain a little bit. Adding some purpley hazy tones. That might be a bit too bright. Like, let me tone it down a little. This loves to come out of my ear. Now adding the snow back over it. That looks nice. Okay, I want to add a little bit of pink. I appreciate the positive feedback. close to hair is a good idea, because then it activates the coolness, if that makes sense. I'm ready for the lava lamp to start actually bubbling. I think the first bubble is about to happen. Or maybe it's the second bubble. Sometimes it takes hours to actually warm up, which is okay. It's just part of the process. Contrast is very, very important. The right amount of contrast can really help the entire image kind of come together. I like that that looks a bit more blended in than it did before. The absence of contrast is important too. For instance, the mountains look more distant because there's less contrast. Now the word contrast sounds weird. Am I the only one? Something about mountains are just so freaking magical, especially just in terms of paintings. I mean, holy crap, they're just so pretty. Palette knives are really good for painting texture, and I can see how it would be good for painting a mountain as well. My last painting video really was heavy on the palette knife technique, but I'm going for a bit more of a smoother look in this one, so it's just a different vibe. Alright, I'm layering up the white up front to really make it look like snow. I'm so excited. Already that looks so good. And here's a little bit of white back there. this painting, let me know. You can let me know in Discord or in the comments or email me. I feel like landscapes generally look really nice on the wall, which is kind of interesting. There's a lot of paintings that look really nice not on the wall. Like, they look nice digitally, but not necessarily hung up in an actual space where you have to look at it every day. Paintings aren't always supposed to be decorative, but I personally like them to be decorative, because what's the point of painting something if it's going to be ugly? I don't believe I'm going to add any painting in this, or add any people in this particular landscape painting. I often keep my figure paintings and my landscapes separate. Not always, but often I do. Adding more texture in here. This is looking nice. I considered adding a cabin to the painting, but I think I will refrain from that detail this time. I actually am about to release a music video and an ASMR video, both recorded in a beautiful cabin in the mountains, similarly to the iconic cabin paintings that you see. I'm excited for you guys to see them. In terms of the sunset colors, in this case I did use pink. It would be relatively simple to just add yellow or another tone instead, which I might save for my next painting, because whatever I can't capture in this one, I can capture in another one, surely. If my dad was here, he would say, "Don't call me Shirley." I'm loving the ideas that are coming to me at the moment. This time I'm kind of adding some of the final touches, to be honest. Final touches require you to really look closely, because I don't know if you know the feeling where you think you're done and then you look at it again and you just see all these things that frozen over lake or stream. That's kind of what I'm envisioning it to be. Just a little bit more gray. Not too dark. It's like I'm trying to go back and forth between all of my paints to get the right shade. That's nice. And maybe a little bit more gray back here. This is pretty. I am certainly pleased with the progress of the painting. I'm just gonna make it a little bit darker up here. Not by much though. I know that it's kind of easy to let your paint kind of get out of control, but remember, you control the paint. It does not control you. Or does it? That way it looks a little bit more just panoramic, I guess. Alright, this is looking so good. I might as well use up the rest of the white paint on my paint palette because I was being very conservative with the amount of white that I used, especially in the beginning because I'm almost out of white paint, and I knew obviously that this painting would require an ample amount of white, it being a snow scene and all. Adding more paint closer to the viewer is a good way to kind of make it look like whatever is like supposed to be close to the viewer is close, if that makes sense. Like the land down here is further closer to the viewer than the mountains. And if I wanted to appear as it, like if I wanted to make it look like it's actually close to the viewer, adding more paint is a good way to do that. I hope I explained that well. I don't know if I did. I feel like I need to add a little It's got personality, it's got feeling. I feel like that you can tell that it's cold. And that's a good I guess that's a good vibe for a winter landscape. I'm shocked I didn't get any paint on my clothes, but I do pretty good at controlling myself. I think it has an atmosphere, for sure, and I'm just happy with it. It turned out nicely. And I'm really glad that you're here to be a part of it.